Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. Matt's Rule Edition. Rapid reaction!
Woo! Come on, guys. Did we just not hand it to the Puffs? Oh, my goodness. What did we just watch?
Husk guys, Corn Crazed, Jim in Minnesota, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews,
Brett
Corn
had to have a
Nation.
great time.
We had an unbelievable, awesome pregame tailgate with all those guys down there. We got the full experience of it. But what was so cool is one of the neatest things was I was talking with some like college kid that was a Colorado kid that has a press pass.
Oh,
and he was coming up to me and he's like, yeah, so, we have this super duper, studio with like all these. I was like, yeah, we're going to be in a garage tonight when we win.
We're in a garage.
And that's exactly where we are.
We're in a garage.
We were in Mac's garage in East Lincoln. When I stepped out to get some of the equipment, we had fireworks going off.
Proud of my neighborhood.
I don't care how the refs were terrible. The second half was miserable to watch with Colt McCoy.
The second half was a zebra show.
Colt McCoy and the Zebra Show were awful to watch, and it doesn't matter because that game, this Husker team came out ready to play on play one. Matt Rule had those guys ready to go.
Yep.
The Sanders had nothing.
Nothing. They had so little of anything. None of them made it all the game. They didn't go all the way. And hey, real quick, just to get it out there, like, anybody who got hurt tonight, anybody who left the field, I truly do hope there's nothing's permanent, nothing's long lasting. Yeah. Y'all get to play your seasons, but man, you just don't come waltzing into Lincoln on a Saturday night and think you're not going to come away with some bumps and bruises, folks. That's what we're talking about. Put a little hurt on them boys from the West. That was sad, right? Colorado fans out there? Huh? Kind of sad, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of wondering. I'm just curious. I mean, we had our Redcast show on Thursday night, and we had a lot of CU fans on that show, and they were talking.
What were they talking?
They were talking. They were
saying?
They were Joe Schmo was one of the guys, like a Derek or Desiree or something. I don't know. They were talking a lot of smack that night. I welcomed him back. I go, look, because I thought we were going to win by multiple touchdowns. I actually, a little bit with the 1992 game in mind. I said 52-7 would be our win, but we didn't win that. We
were tracking that way.
We were definitely tracking that way.
And then the Zebras said,
"Whoa!" We won 28-10. Let's, Redcasters, let's go ahead. Let's just bring this up on the stage here. Let's look at a little bit of stats here. That game, anybody that watches that, and we're all going to be sitting there tomorrow watching that game again, on replay and everything. That second half was brutal. Let's just be very, very clear. I think the penalties, I think some were fair, but it becomes so inconsistent when every play we're having is getting called back. And then when Nash is literally getting it pulled, and they're sitting there on NBC trying to say, well, is that did he pull it out? It depends on what the intention of the pull. Geez, good Lord, it's a hole.
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's so inconsistently being called that part just gets really tough. But as we look at these stats here, Nebraska ends up with 334 total yards. CU ends up with 260. Pretty much as we talked about in the week leading up to it, we had more of a balanced attack from game one. They had a less of one. Well, this certainly played out that way. They had 16 rushing yards and they had 244 passing yards. That was Colorado. Their 260 was 16 rushing yards, 244. We had 185 passing yards. We had 149 rushing yards there. Yards per play, 5.1 for us. They had 4.2. We had no fumbles. We had no interceptions. 0 turnovers on our end.
That was nice. That was so nice. And what were we +2 in the turnovers then?
Yeah, so they had 1 fumble loss. They had 1 interception thrown. The interception, of course, went for a pick 6. Also,
Whoops. Man, I tell you what, that's kind of crazy because all I heard all week was how elite Shedeur Sanders was and how we got a freshman back there who couldn't compete with them. Mind you, that at this level of football, they are exactly 2 wins away from each other. Okay, Shadur had a total of 4 last year and a total of 1 this year. Raiola's got 2.
Yeah,
I'm not counting Jackson State, and I really shouldn't even count North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. That's an FCS one too.
Oh my goodness, how does it feel? I mean, just driving back from to Buffalo tonight, it's got to be rough. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a petty podcast, at least from this guy's perspective. I couldn't be happier. Listen, I'd be interested to see what the numbers are, going in this week, who was watching this game. Yeah. But there was a national spotlight on this game. And that first half was utter dominance by our defense. Our offense was methodical. This game is so good that I have complaints about how we were calling plays in the second half. I legit have complaints about what we were doing with the win.
I think that's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to hesitate for myself here. I think we're going to come back. We'll do a match roll on Monday night or Tuesday night like we normally do. But and I think there's going to be time to digest some of this and how do we bring those complaints out? Because it wasn't a perfect game. No. There are things that we can complain about, but there's also a moment where you don't do it.
Yeah.
This is a 28-10 victory on national TV. That crowd had to be just crazy. We were there for hours this afternoon, so we got to talk with a lot of the folks obviously that are going to it. But the people that were at the game, what a great moment to be at it. And I think when it comes back down to some of those stats that we talked about that were important, having some of that balance, rushing for 149, passing for 185, but also that time of possession. We had 35 minutes, 17 seconds of time of possession to their 24 minutes, 43 seconds. That's exactly what we knew going into it. We could. Mm-hmm. This game, here's the most important thing I think that comes away from this. This game should not shock you. I was not shocked.
I wasn't shocked.
I thought coming into it, we were going to win by multiple touchdowns. I've said that all week. I've said that for quite a while. I said 52-7 on our Husker Max page of predictions there. But and honestly, I think we could have scored more points than we did. Again, that second half.
We should at least scored another field goal. I mean, we should be at 30. It should be 31-10 at the minimum.
At the minimum. But just in general, I'm so proud of how these guys came out and played from the get-go. They just did. It's not perfect.
It wasn't even close to perfect.
That's
the best part. It wasn't even close to perfect. The second half was kind of a throwaway half in terms of offensive production. The defense, though, oh my God, boys, ladies and gents, they were hitting. They completely had stuffed them. They had bamboozled Shadur, who had seen everything, so battle tested. So the number one man, what was his final stat?
So Shadur ends up 23 of 38 for 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Again, that was a pick 6. They're rushing. Dallin Hayden led their rushing attack with 32 yards on 5 carries. Outside of that, well, let's see. They had 38, 40. Yeah, they had 16 yards rushing because Shadur had negative 30 yards rushing again on 8 carries. Do we see? Let me go up here. I want to see how many sacks we had. Do we have that stat down here?
I'm
not seeing that stat up yet. If somebody and heck, if somebody watching has that stat, how many sacks it was? It had to be 6 or 7 at least.
For sure 6.
We had 8 last year, and to get back to that, even close to that number, I mean, we just dominated their offensive line.
They had no answers for our defense. Absolutely
no answer
zero answers for the front line. All week long.
Hi, Honke. It was 6.
A rabbit hole.
It was 6 is what Rob's saying. So is Anthony saying that there.
Okay. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole last night and the night before on the CU side of the podcast world.
Okay.
And the delusion that those fans showed and the way that they thought they were just going to manhandle us was absolutely, it was so preposterous. It started messing with me. I'm like, wait a minute, am I not seeing something? Because as far as I can tell, they've got a brand new offensive line and they're starting a true freshman at the tackle position against our potential not potential. He'd be in the pros right now if he just didn't choose to come back. I'm like, and then our offensive line.
I'm talking about Ty.
I'm talking about Nash. I'm talking about all of them. Colorado had no answers. They had no answers. The best they could hope for were the refs slowing the game down in the second half. Now, look,
and they sure did.
The penalty yards were actually, and the penalties themselves were pretty close. I think we had 11. They had 9. They had like 100 yards. We had a little, maybe over that. They were disgusting. Some of them were gross.
The impact of them. Yeah, that was what was. I scrolled down a little bit and I went back up because I don't think you had a chance to see it, Mac. If you had to guess who was the leading receiver for Nebraska tonight, do you have an idea?
Either be Nayor or maybe Ramir. I'm not.
Look at this, Ramir, 8 catches, 49 yards. So 6.1 yard average, but he had the touchdown.
Oh, Ja'Cory had 6. Ja'Cory, man, every time that guy touches the ball, but he gets penalties on all his big plays.
And those little reverses or passes to him because they're,
Oh, that's true. That's what
those are. But Jalen Lloyd had the one big catch, 36 yards. Nair had 4 catches for 31. Barney 6 for 29. Borkature 1 for 25. Fedoni 1 for 13. Jamal Banks 2 for 2. Yeah. I mean,
how sweet is it to watch? How sweet is it to watch a half? This is the second week in a row. Game's over by halftime. Second week in a row. And I'm here for it. This is fantastic. Like, Rule has got so much to point out to this team about where he struggled, where we could have achieved better. And we get to have those lessons while celebrating the victory. And we're not going to listen, folks. We're not playing Colorado for years. There's nothing on the schedule.
Yeah,
and the way college football is trending, it's like, who knows when we're going to play them again. To walk their happy little asses out of Memorial Stadium with the little beating that we just gave them. Holy satisfaction, Batman.
It was wonderful.
That was wonderful. I will say this. We were down there most of the day. I saw some Buffalo fans. Didn't see a lot of them. Or not Buffalo, Boulder, Buffalo, whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't see a lot of them. They weren't that cocky about it. I didn't see a lot of cocky Buffs fans, and I expect to see 0 going forward. Every fear that team had, like the true fans out there that could look at their team and truly analyze the situation, knows they had problems on both offensive and defensive line, and nothing should make you feel any better after this game.
So here, Vegas Chair says Illinois is going to be our first real test. I mean, think about what we just saw in the Big Ten today. Now, Illinois, to Vegas Chair's point, though, they won 23-17 against Kansas tonight, number 19 Kansas. Mm-hmm. Although I just don't even know what rankings mean. I mean, rankings, we should be ranked.
Are we going to be ranked?
We better be
in
ranked.
The chat. Are we going to be ranked?
Are we going to be ranked in the chat? But Illinois won 23-17. Penn State struggled all day with Bowling Green. Michigan got housed in the conference. And Iowa, I mean, they have lived and died by that offense being as unproductive as it is. And today they died on it. They lost on a last-second field goal, 20-19 to Iowa State. What's so weird about that field goal and losing by 1 point, like, it's a close game, right?
Yeah.
Close game. We've lost our share of close games.
Mm-hmm.
In Iowa's case, are they better or are they worse because they won or lost? I mean, it's a 1 point game.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is
I guess they're worse.
Well, they're worse in the. What matters, I've been told a number of times, is wins and losses, and they're worse because of the loss.
Yep.
And they have lived and died down. They have threaded every game, and now they've lost one of those games that they've won in the past.
We talked about it when it happened in real time, and I'm sure there was a lot of folks that were watching the game that decided the same thing. The moment that Ramir stole that potential interception and scored a touchdown, you knew it was over. Like, that kind of crap always goes the other way for us.
Jeez.
And,
Georgia Tech lost. Yeah, to the point. Someone, Jack, mentioned this. Georgia Tech loses 31-28 tonight to Syracuse. Georgia Tech got ranked because they beat number 10 Florida State. Because, Florida State was obviously a top 10 team when they beat them.
Terribly powerful.
And you look at this and you go, these preseason rankings are so garbage. You might as well just wait anyways. But if you were just going into the season.
Did you ladies want to get on the show? Is that what you're trying to do?
Okay. If you were just basing things off of 2 weeks of playing football, right now I'd put Nebraska in the top 15. I wouldn't worry about us getting in at 23 or 24.
Here's the best part of the night, ladies.
Red Casters.
This is the best part of the night. So my daughter, who's 14, finally got to watch her parents and aunt. This is my sister Molly. Come over and watch a game that was that prime time, and we actually delivered. Like, for her, who's been like confused why I get upset every year about Huskers losing, and for all the young kids down there, tonight. What a great game. I
Morgan,
was so
say
happy.
Hi, to me. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Tony.
Oh, Morgan's watching
Morgan's
too.
watching?
Oh, yes.
Hey, MJ.
We're terribly popular with the family.
Gosh. Oh, Tony, I love you too, babe. Oh, Morgan, I love you too, honey.
We
Look at that.
we sang Husker songs after
Oh
this
my
game.
gosh.
We did.
we were-
We did.
We were shouting them out at the top of our lungs. I go outside again. I was saying that I went outside to the car to get some of this equipment, and there's fireworks going off. And look, this is victories. I'm going to take them all and enjoy them all.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
gone through
Yeah.
7 years of podcasting
family.
and numbers of years of just tough losses
Yeah.
and things. Enjoy every second of this while you can still be frustrated. So to DLS's point here, why was our offense terrible in the second half and the refs
Morgan.
didn't help? He's 100% right.
Yep.
The refs didn't help, and our offense wasn't on point. And I think there's going to be plenty of time to break some of those things down. And at the same time, we won the game. We beat Deion Sanders. We beat Colorado. We ended the 3-game
Like a
win
drum.
streak, and we ended it. That's the end of this series for quite a long time. To your point,
foreseeable future.
we helped the Big Ten out. Look, in a day where Michigan got housed, in a day where Iowa loses to Iowa State, in a day where Penn State doesn't look great, you want to have these non-conference victories, and that's something that we got. And so it's important what Nebraska did. Nebraska played our role this week.
Oh yeah.
And being a good member of the Big Ten.
And we didn't even play great. I can't get over that.
Okay, let's talk
Look at
about
the offensive numbers. These offensive numbers, none of them blow you out of the water. None of them. There's not a standout statistical contributor on the offensive side of things.
Dante Dowdle had 17 carries for 74 yards, 4.4 yards a carry. With 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns is nice.
Pregame. That he was my pregame MVP when I was being interviewed by Huskers at the presser. Or at their tailgate. I would say with 2 touchdowns, he's probably the MVP for that, right?
Or Ramir. I mean,
Ramir.
Ramir ganking that touchdown.
But
that was huge.
I'll just say nobody stood out there. I think Dylan throwing the ball. It wasn't great. This was not a top performance there either.
Why doesn't that bother me?
It doesn't.
Why doesn't it bother me more than it should? Why is it that I can watch a team that I can clearly see we have not met our potential? Why doesn't it bother me more? I'll tell you why. Because we just beat Colorado. We just took them to the house. At no point, 0 point in that game was Colorado ever in contention. They were never a concern, and they knew it.
Can we talk? This is Chad here asking this. Can we talk about the BS calls and no calls? You can't tell me Colorado didn't have one hold in the second half and the officiating crew was trash. I think that's the trouble I have with the offense right now.
Yeah.
And the lack of the calls or too many calls, whatever it was. Look, you can call penalties on every single play. There's no doubt. There's always a penalty, right? I couldn't believe some of the ticky-tack holding calls that they would have on us, or James Williams literally being on the line, and that being called an offside, and then Colorado would be yanking on Nash, and the guy, the expert from NBC, is in the booth sitting there talking about, was that an intentional hold? It's like, dude, it became so impossible to watch. It wasn't even good football to watch because every damn play was getting called back.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Like that was just insane.
It was ridiculous.
We
killed a great run by Ramir.
I'm not saying that there aren't things for the team to work on from that. I'm not saying, in fact, Matt ruled, and just in his nature, it's going to be how do you take all those things that we did well and didn't do well, and how do you get better at progress? You know what? Now, don't let this get to your head. All you did was beat a 4-8 team from last year.
Yeah.
So don't let this get to your head. You got to come back and beat Northern Iowa. Like now we're on to that next phase. But I'll tell you, Mac, when you think back to what we talked about in the preseason of, and we're trying, people think that we drink Kool-Aid and all this BS, but at the end of the day, I think, just trying to be realistic, we said we think that we'll be bowl eligible when we go to Ohio State in game 8. Yeah. That's 7 games, and you only need to win 6 to be bowl eligible. So
we only need to win 4 at this point.
Yeah, we're giving ourselves a loss. I don't know who we're going to lose to. I don't think there's a single team on those first 7 games that I think that we should lose to, but I'm even giving us that because I'm trying to be that realist, right? Mm-hmm. That we all want to be. But when you think about it, Mac, I mean, we're well on our way right now with that victory today. I think you're gonna get people coming out of the woodwork sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, I mean Nebraska's gonna finish.
Oh,
They're gonna be 7-0 now.
They're going to start talking differently about.
They're going to start talking differently
for whatever reason, and I actually kind of disagree with this because I do think Colorado's trash. I want to make sure that's clear. I think Colorado is trash. I think your team is trash. I think we exposed you. Like we should have hung 45 points on you guys, and we didn't. And that was solely based on our own performance. Colorado's trash, and they're going to be trash for the rest of the year. And who cares? I don't care if they go in and don't win another game. That didn't matter to me. I just wanted to be one of the teams that beat them. But the fact that we get a win and we get to learn from these mistakes we made and we'll improve upon it. And there's no chance that Rule is satisfied with this victory in terms of like how we looked.
Yep.
Not a single chance. And same for the seniors. The offense was sluggish. And I'd say this too, Honk, and I know you probably agree with me. This is the first game I'm like, I didn't care for the play calling a lot of times. I didn't care for a lot of like our Dowdell looked so good that first drive. So good. Like the fact that we didn't see him, it seemed like for 3 more drives that we really tried.
Yeah, we didn't really see
that
Irvin.
Irritated the shit out of me.
We didn't see Irvin until later. Medinger here, he says, can't wait to Pick Six's take on the stadium game day atmosphere.
Oh, I know, man.
Well, here's what he wrote. He goes, this is the loudest I've ever heard a college football stadium. A live Pick Six Nation here. And so he was on the sideline there.
Fantastic.
It was awesome getting to see Brett before the game. And such a cool thing there.
Such a fun guy to talk football with.
Yeah,
he's so fun to talk football
Michael
with.
Jason Hall, hopefully some of the recruits I didn't even think about it. Michael, thank you for bringing that up because we would have forgot. Hopefully some of the recruits at the game tonight loved it and they want to come to Nebraska. What an environment. We talked about what an environment was for fans, for the kids. Oh, yeah. You know, Husk guys, Dave, he brought his kids to his first ever,
really?
Their first ever game.
That's so great.
And Dave lives out in Tennessee, so his kid is surrounded by volunteer stuff going on right now. And Dave was like, how cool would it be to bring him to a great environment? Well, how cool is that environment tonight? What a great moment to be in Memorial Stadium. That's awesome. And I love that. I mean, that's incredible. We've got singing.
So happy.
I don't know if you guys can hear the singing upstairs. Probably can't. It probably won't come through the we've got singing upstairs.
Can't be helped. We won a victory. We already called my mom. We had a group chat with as many siblings as we could get on. If there's any siblings that are listening that didn't get on the chat. We'll do a shot with you right here live. It was
guys.
So much damn fun to go.
Can I just tell you, you're talking about how fun this is?
Actually, again. What's up?
Can I just tell you, you guys are talking about how fun this is. I have to tell you that this was the first time in my life that my 8-year-old daughter came downstairs and started asking me questions about football. She started asking me about what the yellow flags were, why they were calling. She started yelling at the refs while we were there. 8 years old. She wanted to know why we hated CU so much. She was asking me so many questions. This was probably one of the best nights of watching football I've ever had in my life, where my daughter sat there and watched at least 3/4 of the game with me tonight. It was amazing. It was amazing. And she was like doing Go Big Reds with me after every single touchdown. Like, it was just, I have to say, and I'm sorry to jump in on you guys during your show, but I just had to tell you that this was probably, oh man, it feels so good. And I'm going to be walking into work on Monday strutting.
This feels like 101 Dalmatians, like we've got the spaghetti. And I would, Rob, I think that's a great point there with, we did the same thing with Lucy. And
Lucy watched the whole game. And she got such a kick out of all of us adults jumping up and down. But and she's seen that before, but she's only ever really seen that for like 1 or 2, maybe 3 plays. Yeah. And then most of it's me cussing, and being upset. And there was things to be upset about with this game.
I'm gonna jump back off again, but I just wanted to share that because you guys are talking about it.
And to Rob's point, to what I was talking about before, this is what the Huskers need, is an infusion of youth and a giving back to fans that were there, a giving to the people that made the trip, the people that put all that time to tailgate, the people that have supported this team endlessly. You put a product out there tonight that we can be proud of, that worked hard, that hit like a son of a bitch. Those boys, not only did we injure some, they're all sore. Yeah. Hey, look, we made them all quit. All of them quit. Deion took his headset off for a while. Shador took himself out. Yeah. Shiloh got knocked out of the game. We made those boys clear.
Well, I think that we were physical. We hit hard. We were everything that we wanted to be. And again, I guess the biggest takeaway for me, the score is kind of irrelevant in some case because the score actually isn't as impressive.
We covered.
If you just
2 weeks in a row.
It's funny. We covered, but yet the score doesn't really indicate how the game to me was played. But my point was, irregardless of the score there, we came out and we were physical with these guys from day one, from play one. We came out and we in the lines of scrimmage where we're old on the offense, we're old on the defense, especially on the defense compared to their offensive line. We dominated. We absolutely dominated them.
Killed them. They had no answer for our defensive line. Zero answer. Shedeur had no time. And for that improved offensive line that I kept hearing about, you were kidding yourselves. You were foolish. I heard so many Colorado fans talking about, they're like, no, that stadium can get really loud, but you know what's even better? When you silence that crowd. They can get real quiet real quick. It never happened.
Well, this one here from Chad. I think regardless, everyone should remember we haven't been great for some years, but fans still show up. Even with losing seasons, we still sell out. That is something we talked about in the pregame during the tailgate was, people could sit there and they can argue yes, no on the validity of the sellout streak, which I will always say that's stupid to argue that they've all been sold out.
Mm-hmm.
But who cares about the validity of certain games here or there?
Yeah, I don't care.
The fact that we're even having to argue over a game or two and some people up in the stands or not, we have lost a lot of football games for a long time. Yeah. And the blue bloodness of us, which is what Brett Ciancia and Pick Six Previews goes at, puts into his book every year. The blue bloodness of us is why we come out and show out the way we did today.
We showed out.
And have. What a great environment. That's why Brett Ciancia is on the sideline saying this is the loudest I've ever heard a college football stadium. And he's been in college football stadiums all over the place.
It was a great venue. And,
I'm guessing
for those who weren't here, the weather was perfect.
Oh, perfect weather. And I'm guessing Matt Rule might say that there's a louder stadium than he's heard in Penn State based off of tonight. I'm just going to guess. Something that he talked about last week. I think he did the right way, kind of pushing some of the buttons of Husker Nation, making sure that we showed up.
How about this? We brought back the 94 team to celebrate a championship. When's the last time we've actually been able to honor those guys with a victory when they're on the sideline? That's been a hot minute. And
10 years ago when we played Miami, and they came back and they were here. They were part of the 20th anniversary.
Okay,
think of how cool that is for that 94 team.
Yeah,
they've come back for 20-year anniversary and got to watch us beat Miami, a team that we beat obviously in 94, played a big role of that. And then they just came back for the 30th year and we beat Colorado. Those are the two big wins from that season. How cool is that?
That's actually quite awesome. Dylan Raiola 2-0, 1-0 versus Colorado.
I don't remember his name. This DLS, I don't remember his name, but the kid from Omaha played his heart out on defense. Are you talking about Bullock?
He was awesome tonight.
Yeah.
Complete, so sound, fundamentally perfect. Sticking guys, we were crushing dudes tonight. And Ja'Cory Barnes, this is switching sides, but there were some standout guys. Like Ja'Cory Barney's a guy I want to see the ball in his hand more. That guy is electric.
I'm curious, since we were talking defense though, and inside linebacker with Bullock, I'm curious. Rule said that Javen Wright was starting to get better. He said this on Thursday. I don't know if he'd be ready for this weekend, but obviously the first half we're not going to have Micah Bear, Mekhi Bear with the targeting. So he's going to be out for the first half. It's Northern Iowa. I'm not downplaying Northern Iowa. I'm just simply saying at that inside linebacker spot, it'll be interesting if Javen Wright is available, and so when you don't have Bear available to start the game, you'd have Bullock, you would have Thompson, you'd have Shavers. And if we had Wright, we'd still have a 4-man rotation, even for that first half until you get Bear back. Again, we're in no position. Let me be very clear about this. The same moment that I talk about how awesome this was and how these first 2 weeks have been, and we've dominated teams, we're also still, and how I think we're going to go 7-0, by the way. I think we'll be 7-0 when we play Ohio State. I've said that
this was the biggest question mark.
And at the same time that I say that, we're in no position to also just look past the next team now. This is the next piece of growth, and this is what Rule has to keep working with this team. He has plenty of second half moments that there are teachable moments that he can take to this team. That we didn't close out these guys the way that we should have.
Right.
Refs be damned. Doesn't matter. We didn't close them out the way that we should. That's I like that he continues to have coachable moments. Now you're going to go play Northern Iowa. You better not be looking past these guys. Don't be looking past anyone. We've seen teams now. We've seen Kansas State going to Tulane and getting that play to the end. Northern Illinois, a team that beat us back in 2016, just beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame today. We have seen upsets. So we're in no position to sit there and say that we can just look past anybody, even if it's Northern Iowa. But that's still, these are all coachable moments. How do you keep getting better?
But when we talked about going 6-0, when you talk like the biggest question mark on the schedule was Colorado at first, and we all agreed
certainly the most talented.
And it's so funny to watch expectations change in real time.
Sure,
right? Because at halftime we had dominated the game. By the end of the half, we were already disappointed, despite knowing we were going to win the game with how we played on offense, and we felt like we could be better. And frankly, we're right. This team has a lot of potential now. This team can be pretty good. This defense is not that.
So where
it's going to be hard to attack.
So where do we clearly need to get better? Right away.
Well, place kicking's terrible.
Special teams in general. Man.
It was place kicking. That was so irritating.
If we're in a tight game, which this game never was. Once we got, we're up 28-0.5. Which, again, I guess you look at the box score. We got outscored 10-0 in the second half, right? Mm-hmm. Again, strange second half. But a close game, man. It's not just field goal kicking. It's everything. It's punting. It's getting good kick returns and good punt returns.
The punt was pretty good. I thought the punt coverage was
that punt when we punt them down the 3 yard, like everything.
Mostly it's a kicking though. It's mostly the place kicking.
Yeah, we had a long.
That's an absolute horseshit kick not to make.
We had a long kickoff return on us early in the game too, where the defense came.
But they saved us.
We blocked we blocked the field goal. So there were some good things in the special teams. To your point there too, we did block a field goal and
how cool is it to see?
But when you're in close games, every point's going to matter. Right?
It would matter against a good team for sure.
Yeah.
It's just that Colorado isn't very good, as we said. I specifically remember saying I didn't think this game was going to be that close.
I like this point from Michael. Our 2-minute drill for halftime last 2 games has been awesome. It has. We hit a little bit of magic on that touchdown pass to Ramir. That was.
Well, that was the.
When that went in and we got up 28-0.
That was the sign that things have changed. Listen, this game we had a pick six return, we blocked the field goal, and then that miracle like interception turn touchdown somehow. You saw those plays. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen that in years, let alone one game.
Well, right here, DLS. I still think we can trip up against Rutgers or Indiana, like you said. We can't overlook anyone. We can't.
No.
We can't overlook anyone. Absolutely. I'm also I'm speaking for Mac here, but I'm guessing you're going to agree with me here. I'm not going to sweat Rutgers coming into Lincoln, Nebraska. Doesn't mean you don't be prepared as a fan. I'm saying this from a fan perspective. I'm not going to sweat Rutgers coming here. Going to Indiana, and they've got a new coach, and that coach, they're going to be more explosive.
Yeah,
they are no doubt going to be more explosive.
Right.
I'm just saying, if anything, if recruiting matters, if any of the stats that we get told time and time again over a course of an offseason of players that you've brought in and transfer portal and who did you lose and all those, if any of those things matter, we should be favored in every one of those 7 games. We play 5 of those 7 games at home. The 2 games that we play on the road, Indiana and Purdue, are probably the most manageable away games you're going to play from hell, we could probably have almost as many fans as they have in there. And I swear to God, and I say all that at the same time they say we could lose all 5. There's nothing that prevents us from, we've lost every conceivable way. This is a Matt Rule thing, though. When I was talking with guys today during tailgates and in our Thursday night show, Boomer brought up a really good kind of contrarian point where he said, are you worried this weekend? Can you compare it to 2010 against Texas, where Texas comes here? It wasn't a good Texas team, should have absolutely lost to us, but from an emotional standpoint, we didn't handle it well, and we lost to a Texas team that we shouldn't have lost. Are you worried about that with Colorado? And I just, as bluntly as I could, I was like, no, I'm not worried about it. Why am I not worried about it? Because Bo Pelini isn't coaching this team right now. Bo Pelini coached a team to be emotional. That's why we were Jekyll and Hyde under Bo, constantly. Highs and lows. Played some of the best football I've ever seen, played some of the worst football, sometimes in the same game. Matt Rule and him leading the team out with Crawford, the boxer from Omaha, and him focusing on how this guy, it's all about being consistent. It's about body punches, and it's just you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Don't get too high, don't get too low. I'm not worried about Rutgers coming here. I'm not worried about going to Indiana. I'm worried about us getting better every week. That's what I'm worried about. That's the process thing.
What is worry a strong word, or is that what you just want to see?
Maybe that's what I want to see. Maybe it's I'm not guess what? I'm not worried about it because I'm also I think that Rule's just going to focus on this team needs to just keep getting better.
Yeah.
It's getting better. It's getting better. We didn't have turnover. How about this? We had 4 turnovers, I think it was a year ago against Colorado. We had
3
none
for the season in game 2, right?
plus 4, I guess, if you count the
safety.
But I mean, to that point, we were negative 17 a year ago. Negative 17 in turnover margin.
Well, even just the first 2 games, though, Matt. The first 2 games, we go 0-2.
We had, I think, 8 turnovers in those first 2 games,
and
4 each.
But what was our margin?
So we were I mean, without it in front of me, I would say we were probably negative 5 or 6.
Negative 5 or 6.
We might have got 2 or 3 in those first 2
games. And we're
plus
+3.
Yeah, we're +3.
And then look how different that feels.
And Rule said that coming into the season too, when he was referencing last year, he goes, "We're negative 17."
Oh my gosh, Menninger, you're right. We did beat Sapp again in our own house.
By the way, great to beat Sapp again.
And Deion too in Memorial Stadium. Because oh god, that's great.
Hey, you know what? We're doing a lot of talking here. Let's just slow down for a second. Redcasters.
Let's tip one up.
Redcasters on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, on X, all of you. Raise a glass.
Ladies
raise
and
a
gents,
toast.
players and pimps.
Enjoy this moment.
We just sent them packing, folks. We just sent them packing.
This is the long ride home.
They're going home.
Colorado.
They're going home a worse team than when they got here for the abuse they took. Oh my God. That felt good. That felt good. It felt good immediately. It felt good.
I want to say
entire half.
I want to say hi to Rasmus too, man. Rasmus, that's Yukon Chris up there in Palmer, Alaska. Came down last weekend. You know, you want to talk about great Husker fans and people that care so deeply. Here's a guy that, you know, the week of the first game of the season, 4 or 5 games beforehand, he's just like, screw it. Let's figure out a way to fly. They didn't have tickets yet. We're going to find some tickets. He's going to take his son Rasmus, and this is all about the next generation of Husker fans, getting those kids excited. We're just going to find a way. We're going to find a way to get on a plane and fly from Anchorage to Lincoln, because that's super easy, right? It's super convenient.
Far, but...
and his flight back, he had to fly down to Dallas and had like a 9-hour layover. That what I love about it is this is what Husker fans do. Yeah. We don't complain about it. You'll never hear Yukon Chris sit there and complain about what it took to get to Lincoln, Nebraska. What you'll hear is how awesome that weekend was. Yeah. And you'll hear it from his son talking about how amazed he was that he got to go there. How cool is that? That's what being a Husker fan's about, man.
It was.
And so this is a celebration for those 88,000 people that have taken it for years, that have heard about every single time that you know, the sellout streak had to be extended by some, you know, some external way, you know, whatever it was. And we've had things thrown in our face. Husker Nation, you take a backseat to nobody.
0.
This is, you've earned everything. You earn a night like this. You earn the enjoy. I love, hey, Joe Schmo, I'm back. Y'all put one on CU tonight. Raiola is advertised. Got that turnover in the missed interception by CU, turned it into a TD. Good stuff. I want to give Joe Schmo some credit there.
Is he a CU guy?
Well, he was a CU guy, or I presume he was, but he came on to our show quite a bit on Thursday night. And I mean, I was very bullish. I was like, hey, I think we're going to win by a couple touchdowns. And we were going back and forth. But I'll tell you what, man, good on you, Joe. Good on you for coming back. As I said, I said, if we lost the game, you know, I'll be the first one to come back next week, and I'll wear, you know, pie on my face or whatever you want to say. And good on you, Joe, for being back. It was a great conversation that we had with you too. And so,
the cap to you, brother. That's good for you.
Good for you, Joe.
Joe, which way do you lean on the? Are you a Buff fan or just a critical Husker fan? I'm just curious. And I don't care if you're a critical Husker fan. I'm just curious.
Vegas Jared, anyone know what day Nebraska will be hosting a playoff game? Well, I mean, Jared, that implies that we're somewhere between number 5 and 8.
TBD is what
Yeah,
I'd
I mean,
say.
we could be 1 through 4 and just have a bye and just not even get the playoff game. But I don't want to jump that far ahead. There is a chance. I mean, there's an outside chance for 9 through 12.
All right, we're in a position right now to go ahead and blow up the season and talk about shit that. Look, listen.
I love
How much our defense played.
Balls out, man.
If I am to believe every pundit out there, we just shut down the top 2 guys in the next NFL draft. Possibly 3. Am I wrong? Was I not told that Shedeur is the best quarterback?
Heisman number 1 and Heisman number 2.
Yeah. So our defense just shut them down seemingly pretty effortlessly. Made them quit. Travis, although I will say that when Travis crossed the field that one time after a catch and Singleton blew him up, I gotta say, I
have more credit or more respect for Hunter.
I do too.
I do.
Hunter's tough. I knew
do.
Shedeur was tough. I knew Shiloh was a punk, and I'm sorry he got hurt, but I'm not sad to see him go. I was worried. I was worried that those guys would get a little cheap on Raiola,
the injury that Shiloh had. That's bad. He was a punk though in that first game.
He's a punk.
And but I thought Shedeur, he didn't have. I mean, that was a bad throw. Was a bad pick six he had. He didn't play a great game, but he had pressure on him every second.
Terrible. But my point is this: if I was right, or they were right when they told me about these 2 great players that our whole team was going to have trouble shutting down, and we just shut them down, we need to start thinking a little differently about how good this defense just might be. And the offense, which is kind of just only put together 2 halves of a football season so far, if that can get a little more consistent, then I don't really know where we fall in the Big Ten, but it's on the higher end of things.
I think Joe Schmo, he goes, I'll keep an eye on Nebraska going forward. Think you'll all be a player in the Big Ten. I will give this. This is where the narrative changes. I was telling people before the game today, I go, we go out and we beat Colorado. Let's say we beat them handily. And I was saying, by 20 points or something like that. Let's say we beat them handily. Then the narrative is immediately going to change that. Well, Colorado really wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? Well, they'd only beat North Dakota State and blah, blah, blah. They're really not that good. No, actually, to Joe's point there, I think that Colorado has elite skill talent there. And their line was going to have issues. We knew that. Here. That's going to be an issue for them. If they can stay healthy with the receivers and the skill positions they have, they can be. They're going to score some points.
Their defense is bad. I don't necessarily.
I was actually more impressed with that.
But their offense is flawed fundamentally by their line.
But I think that this is a game that is going to improve our defense. It's going to improve our team because we played in this game early. I said it after the UTEP game. It was great how we played against UTEP. I was very impressed with how we did. We didn't need to play another UTEP. We needed a game like this.
Yeah.
And I like how we showed up.
One of the best plays on offense this game was in the first half. And it might have been the first drive. But it was like a 3rd and 10. And Raiola scrambled for 10.
Oh, my God. That's a great point.
And like
his legs tonight
were – guys, did you see him move around in the pocket? Keeping his eyes downfield. He's got great pocket presence. We need to get a little bit better about completing those balls and, making plays downfield and not getting flags thrown on us every damn time that happened. But were you guys not kind of impressed by the way he shuffles around in the pocket and still able to throw? There was a couple of times that Shedeur couldn't get the ball off because he clearly has to set his feet. He's not one of those guys that's got the strength of arm to be rolling to his left and then just flick it. He's got to turn his body and do it. That's why that one play by James Williams that got to him late, that is exactly why. And like I said before, they're only separated by about 3 wins at this level.
Yeah, dude. So, look at this right now. This is Oregon and Boise State tied 20-20, and they are in the third quarter right now. 5 minutes left, and we have a new Pump the Brakes segment on our Redcast. We did it on Thursday night. And Boomer, and I don't even blame Boomer for this, but Boomer's Pump the Brakes on Oregon. People sitting there saying that Oregon wasn't going to be very good this year. I still think it's even too early it still could be a Pump the Brakes thing right now. But this is you're now 7 quarters into your season.
Yeah.
And, between Idaho, apparently Oregon's having trouble with the state of Idaho because last week it was a very close victory over Idaho, and now it's Boise State that's taking them down to the.
I'm a little curious, chat. the folks we got on right now. What did you feel, on the offensive side about the play calls in the second half? I personally would have liked to seen a lot more Dowdell. Ramir had a great game. I don't know. It just seemed like we almost shut it down at half offensively. That's how it felt to me. We weren't being aggressive. There were some long balls that could have been completed, but those were like all in the first half.
Again,
it was so interesting.
My feel, and this is going to sound very armchair quarterbacky, blaming the refs, and that second half was so awful to watch from a referee's perspective.
Dingers with us.
We just got called time and time again, every play.
Tony agrees.
It was so hard. You would make some progress. You'd get the first down. You'd have a big play, and it was constantly being called back.
It was a joke.
It was such a joke. And it's some cases.
Colorado got some. I won't even say it was almost unilateral though, or bilateral, or unicameral. Bipedal?
No, it's got to be your bowl.
Ambidextrous. It was so ambidextrous. Like both sides got it.
It was very ambidextrous, Mac.
but like the late, I think they called a late hit against Raiola. That wasn't much of a late hit, but that kind of made up for a hold call.
Oh my gosh,
that wasn't much of a hold. These officials were god awful, and they were.
Or do we have any more NBC Saturday night games?
I don't know. Also, Colt McCoy. What a robot! Dude.
Oh my.
That guy sucked. I think it's CTE from Sue. I really do. It was his lack of expression. I was like, who is this guy?
My goodness, that was
just
lifeless.
Being obnoxious
and just
after a win.
Oh, but you know what?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Ramir's run. That was my God, that was a good play.
Joe Schmo, we're giving Joe some play, but you know what? I respect Joe so much for coming back.
On the second half adjustments defensively,
I
think they did too.
I agree that CU made necessary adjustments in the second half. The refs started calling the game tighter for both teams.
Shittier.
I can't
tighter or shittier. I'm not sure, but
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I was a Colorado fan, I think there could be plays where I could sit there and complain about some of the calls too. One of the issues I had, this is just
the pass out of bounds.
That pass out of bounds, where could it have been a catch? Could it have been?
If he was catching like this. And he caught it.
I'm just saying
that's a catch, but he went like this and brought it in. By the time it was to his body, that foot was off the ground. I'm just simply saying the way that the rules of football work. The rules of football.
The play on the field, it has to be indisputable to turn it over. And how those guys that were up in the box, the NBC guys, were like, "That's such clearly a catch. It's so clearly a catch." No, it wasn't. It was not indisputable.
I didn't see it.
That ball still could have been slightly moving and the foot's down. And they went off on it. And the entire time you and I are just screaming at the TV about it's not indisputable. It's
definitely
it's definitely it doesn't have to be it wasn't conclusive. So but it was basically call stands.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed at that second half, which takes away from a great night. And I don't want to be, I'm not mad, but I'm not mad. We won the football game.
I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all, but I'll tell you this. I'm not going to watch much of that second half next week.
Probably not.
It was so.
Oregon just scored a touchdown. Iowa is a night game on NBC Peacock. That's right. So we got the Peacock going on there. Oregon had TD on a punt return. So
what's everybody drinking tonight?
Anthony, the ball was still bouncing in his arms when his foot was lifted off the ground. I agree.
Tony.
At the very least, it was disputable, and it has to be indisputable.
Yeah.
So pretty easy. Redcasters, look, we've been doing this for 7 years. We've quit the show. How many times, Mac? You've quit the show.
I'm still not on the show.
I've quit the show at different times. You're still not on the show.
This isn't that show.
We've created Matt's rule because it's a different show.
We're like the Gallagher brothers from Oasis.
It's so.
I'm happy for everybody.
I'm just happy for
all
people.
the Husker fans. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm happy for all of us. Yeah,
they are.
They're absolutely a media darling. Dinger, you're 100% right on that.
I'm just happy for people. I'm happy for Rule. I'm happy for those seniors. I'm happy for Gifford and Bullock and Hutmaker and Robinson and Benhart and Scott and guys that came back that had options to go other places. I'm happy, for Dylan Raiola that, he came out there and the game wasn't too big for him. He didn't play a perfect game. We could sit down.
close.
We could sit here and do a 2-hour show just critiquing every play that he did. There's no point in that right now. But I'm just happy that he came out and that the game wasn't too big for him. I'm just so happy for this team. I'm happy that Fedoni went out there for another game and played an injury-free game.
Yep.
You know, think about that. Think about a guy who has had 2 season-ending, injuries over the course of his career, and last year he played a full season.
Mhm.
And there were people that were still saying, he's a bust and this or that. I'm like, dude, he made it through a year and healthy.
Yeah.
And here he is 2 games in this season. And he's healthy.
Blocking like a son
I'm
of a bitch.
just proud of the team. I'm proud of the fans that showed up.
Well,
I'm proud of everything.
And it feels like we've got so much room to grow. Offensively, we've got so much room to grow. We've got so much ability to get better. And the defense is already holding it down.
Texas volleyball lost tonight.
Oh,
Anthony.
man, the night just keeps getting better.
Genghis, we kicked their ass.
Oh, we did. We totally kicked their ass. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to listen to a single Husker show this week. I'm just going to be, once you on YouTube, once you get your algorithm kind of switched to something, it just kind of keeps feeding you. I'm riding out the Colorado. I made some comments on a couple different podcasts and news sources and everything like that. I was snarky. I didn't feel good. I didn't like the way they talked about us. I didn't like the way they talked about our coach. And I made mention of it several times. I'm doubling back. I bookmarked a bunch of shit. I mean, Huss guys, they've got to be geeked out about to get on Twitter. I haven't even been on. I didn't have my phone the whole game. I had my phone upstairs charging, and so I haven't been on at all.
I got a text from Dave right there. It says kids. I'm not going to show it.
I love it.
But him and his kids on the field.
That's
they
awesome.
rushed the field.
Oh, they rushed the field today.
Yeah, that's Huss guys rushing the field there with their kids, enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
Redcasters, enjoy the moment. Enjoy it. Just enjoy everything.
Enjoy the moment. Process the moment. Get used to feeling like this. This is how it's going now. I mean, Colorado was, like Dinger said, he was the biggest Cinderella the media had right now. That's gone. That's over.
Anthony, Dr. Abby, Redcast Abby, she's been going to town with her bookmarks tonight so far on Twitter.
Oh,
Love
really?
it. I can't wait to see that.
Double down on that.
I've got some bookmarks as well. If you've got bookmarks, go out there and enjoy them. You've earned it. Redcasters, you have earned it.
Is it time
Thank
to
you
drink
for
the Kool-Aid? Hell yeah, Jack. It's time to drink the Kool-Aid. It all over. Oh my gosh.
It is time. It is time.
You guys, this might be real. This is looking real. This is the exact time the Huskers would shit the bed. Is on TV, night game, lots of eyes, a rival, an important win. We all talked about how important this win was and how devastating a loss was going to be. And by halftime, you knew this game was over. You knew at halftime, there's no shot they scored that many points on us on defense, the way our defense was playing for the rest of the game. And we didn't score another point. We didn't score another point, and the game was never in doubt.
What's up, Rob?
I love you guys.
Well, we love you too.
That's all. Can't wait to see you next week. I might kiss you both on the mouth.
Yes, it's fantastic. I'm so happy I took work off today.
Oh my God.
This was a perfect opportunity to really bask in the Husker glory. And I'm glad your daughter got into it. I'm glad the Husk guys got down there. I'm glad Brett Ciancio was in town. I mean, so many things. Look, and I don't remember who mentioned the recruits, but not a bad game for them to show up for.
No, that was such a good game. Guys, I'm going to sleep so well tonight, and I'm going to wake up early and get back on Twitter and keep talking trash to Buffs fans. I think I retweeted probably 25 or 30 tweets from Buffs fans that I bookmarked. Like with 2 minutes left in the game, I was firing them off one after one after one.
I bet Martinez had chills throughout his body.
Genghis says, "Damn, I thought that was Rob. Need to get my iPad." No, I screwed up the last time we did a Matt's rule. I had Matt or Honke and Rob still on my, on the name.
No.
So my name's Matt,
so.
And his name's Mac.
Yeah,
that's Mac and Matt.
That's why we rule.
Yeah, and that's why you rule. And I'm Rob, and I'm live in Colorado right now.
His name's Rob, and he likes to party.
I'd like to party. Yes.
Anthony
Hey,
says, I think we'll be
ladies.
flipping some. Yeah, we'll be flipping some recruits.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, there's that environment tonight is going to compare with any place that these kids go to. I don't care if it's SEC. I don't care if it's, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever it is. This is that Memorial Stadium, when it did what it did tonight, when it looks like it does tonight,
Yeah.
it takes a back seat to no place in
Yeah.
the country. And then you have the facilities on top of that.
Yeah.
Everything's open. You got to show them the Osborne Legacy Complex. I mean, everything is in front of us. Think of NIL. Think of the 1890 painted on the
that looked pretty good.
the field. That looked good.
And I mentioned it to you. I'm like, what a great name for a collective, because it actually looks good on a field.
Yeah,
it does. It's not something that says like synergy or something stupid. It's like 1890. Oh, we were founded that year. Also, it's our collective. That's cool. I absolutely love it. Everything we're doing is gold.
Every time I walk into the podcast, I'm like, why does it smell like peanut butter?
The crowd is saying, Rob, did it smell like peanut butter? I don't know.
Are you having a stroke?
Come on, Honke. Come on, Honke. Our post-game show.
Oh my God, the peanut butter. No, that was okay. Wow, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Actually, really good on Genghis there. Last week, we were doing the live show on the rooftop of the beer house, the Kincaid Beer House at 8th and P in the Haymarket. And we're probably, really good deep cut there, Genghis. We're an hour, 15 minutes into the show. This college kid drunk after hours of drinking comes up and he's like, I'm a comedian. We're like, okay, well, cool. And like, he just walked right up to the mic. He's like, I'm a comedian. I'm like, well, then tell a joke. And he told a joke about peanut butter, and I won't go any further than that, but dang,
I'm a comedian. All right.
Yeah, I guess
we're just saying shit. Okay.
Yeah, he totally told it. Yeah,
Honke or Mac, we'll tell you the joke off air after this.
Yeah. Or any Redcaster can go back and watch it. It was on.
I was getting text messages from people like, dude, you guys need comedians on every week. I'm like, no, not like that.
Give us your best joke, and it was a peanut butter one. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that.
You have a story about peanut butter?
Nope.
And it's true.
No. He's got stories about porta potties too, but we're not going to tell them on the show.
Yeah.
Some things are best left off air.
Yeah.
That's
so.
Right.
Redcasters, I think at the end of the day, man, this is what a celebratory moment. What a great moment to be a Husker fan.
Hi, Amy. We haven't seen Amy in forever. Hi, Amy.
That's great. Peanut butter jokes only for paid subscribers.
I miss your face, Amy. I hope I see you next week.
We Husker fans, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy tonight.
Go dig in on social media. Go spread your wings. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm honestly
go through your bookmarks.
I love the company that I have at my house right now, but I want everybody to leave me alone so I can just like dig in and like make some comments and just really enjoy this. It's been man, that first half was as good a half of football as I've enjoyed in a long ass time. I mean, a long ass time.
Yeah.
To see a team that you hate be handled the way we did, it makes it all worthwhile. It makes all the offseason work that we did. Gaining weight worthwhile. All the beer we drank, all the poor choices and late nights that we stayed up to also
Speak
drink.
for yourself, Mac.
Colorado and
it's frozen, Connor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Colorado and Iowa both lost today. And that's not terrible.
That's too bad.
That's not terrible.
I wonder what that feels like.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
all right.
Raise your hand if your team's undefeated.
No.
Right here.
Come on, Honke. You're not raising your hand, Honke? There you go.
I'm trying to run a show.
Oh,
so, but yes, we are undefeated. We are 2-0.
Undisputed. Big Ten West champs. What? Yeah, no, it's not.
Well, I mean,
that's not the point.
I'll allow it.
The point is it's going to be a long ride home.
I'm sorry. I had to jump in with you guys. This is just too much fun.
Oh my gosh.
So much fun.
I'm just so tickled. I'm tickled for everybody. But listen, we're going to get out of here. You guys go celebrate with whoever you watch the game. Here's the important thing that I think we can all agree on. That Mats rule.
We rule.
We rule. We rule.
Mats rule.
Mats rule. Huskers rule. Sanders drool. I'm sorry. It's too bad. All right. Talk to you later, y'all. Have a great night.
GBR.
Go Big Red.
Go.
A Herd at Sports Network production.
Jeff, like I'm on cloud nine right now.